Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to take you on a journey into a part of history that is rarely shown in school books or documentaries. We often hear about Victorian London as a city of progress, invention, science, literature, and empire. We imagine gas lamps glowing in the fog, ladies in lace dresses, and gentlemen in tall hats walking proudly through elegant streets. But there is another reality hidden in the shadows of that same city, and it belongs to the people history tried to forget. These were men, women, and children who lived not in warm homes, but on cold stone steps. They were known as crawlers, the most desperate of the poor in 19th century London. Their bodies were broken, their spirits were worn, and their lives were reduced to hour-by-hour survival. Today, we are going to step into their world. We will sit beside them on the freezing steps of the street, Giles Workhouse. We will feel the hunger that twists in the stomach and the cold that settles into the bones. And we will try for a moment to understand what it meant to be invisible in a city filled with millions of people. Before we begin, take a second to get comfortable wherever you are. Maybe you are watching this at home, in bed, on a couch, or at your desk. Now imagine something completely different. Imagine opening your eyes before sunrise and seeing nothing but darkness. Your back is stiff because you did not lie on a bed. Instead, you slept sitting up, leaning against a hard wooden door that belongs to a workhouse that will not let you in. Your neck is sore from holding your head upright all night. Your arms and legs are numb from the cold, and your clothes are damp from yesterday's rain. You did not sleep deeply. You only drifted in and out, half aware of every sound around you. Every footstep, every cartwheel, every whisper of wind. This is the life of a Victorian crawler. The crawlers did not choose this life. Many were once workers, seamstresses, soldiers, house servants, or wives and husbands with dreams and families. But London in the 19th century was a brutal city for the poor. If you lost your job, you could lose your room. If you lost your room, you could lose your health. And once your health was broken, society turned its back on you completely. There were no social programs to protect the vulnerable. There were no safety nets for those who slipped. There was only the street. The street was cold in winter, wet in autumn, harsh in spring, and unforgiving in summer. People walked by the crawlers every day, pretending not to see them. To the wealthy, they were something uncomfortable to look at. To the authorities, they were a problem to be removed. To the middle class, they were a warning of what could happen if one misstep, one illness, or one stroke of bad luck arrived. And so the crawlers became ghosts among the living. Their world existed in plain sight, yet no one truly saw them. But here, today, we will see them. Not as nameless figures in rags, but as human beings. People with memories, with hopes, with pain, and with dignity that refused to disappear completely. Their suffering was real, but so was their strength. And even in the very lowest conditions, they formed small communities, shared scraps of food, and tried to protect one another. Before we explore their daily struggles, their hunger, their sickness, and their quiet acts of bravery, let us pause on one essential idea. To be a crawler was not simply to be poor. It was to be abandoned. To be physically present in a city full of progress, yet treated as though you did not exist. To be alive, but excluded from society, from comfort, from opportunity, and even from basic respect. So, as we travel into their world, I invite you to watch with empathy. Let us not look at them the way Victorian London did, with disgust or fear or judgment. Instead, let us look with human eyes. Eyes that recognize suffering and still choose compassion. Because history is not only about kings, queens, laws, and inventions. History is also about the forgotten. And the crawlers of Victorian London deserve to be remembered. In the next part of our story, we will follow a crawler through one full day on the steps. We will experience their morning rituals, their desperate search for warmth, and their struggle for dignity. But before we move on, take one more breath and hold that image in your mind. A cold doorstep, a broken teapot, a weary group huddled together, waiting for the sun to rise on another difficult day. This is where our journey begins. The morning in street. Giles begins before the sun rises. There is no alarm clock, no warm breakfast, and no soft blanket to push aside. There's only the ache of cold stone and the sound of distant cart wheels creaking over wet cobblestones. You open your eyes slowly, not because you are rested, but because the night has finally ended. Your back burns from sitting upright for hours. Your neck is stiff, your legs are numb, and your stomach feels completely hollow. This is not a bad morning. This is just an ordinary one. Around you, the others begin to stir. Mary rubs her hands together for warmth, her breath turning into tiny clouds in the cold air. Elizabeth leans heavily on her knees, trying to stretch her aching joints. Nearby, the small child who slept against your shoulder curls tighter into herself, still asleep, still coughing. The workhouse door remains shut behind you, tall and silent like a wall between two worlds. One world belongs to those who live inside. The other belongs to you. No one speaks at first. Words feel heavy in the cold, and everyone already knows what must happen next. The group needs boiling water. Not for food, there is none, but for weak tea made from used leaves collected the day before. It will not end hunger, but it will warm the body, at least for a moment. Mary glances at the broken teapot, clutching it like treasure. It has no handle and no spout, but is one of the most valuable objects you share. Elizabeth volunteers to go to Drury Lane, where a kind coffee shop owner sometimes fills the pot for free. Her legs tremble as she stands, and you rise to help her. "Let me carry it," you say, taking the fractured teapot from her cold hands. She nods with tired gratitude. Before leaving, she gently wakes the child who will come along. People are more generous when they see a child, and generosity is the only currency the crawlers can still hope for. You step into the damp morning air. The streets are not yet busy, but the city is waking. Smells of coal smoke drift between narrow alleyways. A newspaper boy shouts headlines you cannot afford to read. Your shoes, thin as paper, soak instantly in the wet street. Every step sends a small shock of cold through your body. But you keep walking. You have a mission. The coffee shop appears ahead, warm light glowing behind fog glass. Inside, workers sweep floors and wipe down tables. They are not wealthy, but they are worlds apart from you. You push the door gently and step inside. The shopkeeper sees you, recognizes the teapot, and gives a sympathetic nod. He says nothing unkind. Instead, he quietly fills the pot with boiling water. The steam hits your face, and for a moment you close your eyes, pretending the warmth is much more than it is. You whisper, "Thank you," and he waves you off with humble acceptance. You return to the steps as quickly as you can, guarding every drop like liquid gold. The others gather close when you arrive. No one wastes time. Elizabeth brews the tea by swirling the old leaves at the bottom of the pot. Each person receives only a small sip. The child gets the first share. Then Mary. Then Elizabeth. Then you. The tea is weak, almost clear, but it warms your throat as it goes down. For a few quiet moments, the group simply sits. The tea allows everyone to breathe again, to think again. But warmth fades quickly, and hunger soon returns. Your thoughts begin to drift toward food, even when there is none. Some mornings, someone finds a scrap of bread. Some mornings, nothing is found at all. Today might be another day of nothing. Mary finally breaks the silence. "Do you think we will find anything?" she asks, softly. No one answers right away. Hope is fragile, and none of you want to break it. Elizabeth speaks at last. "We always try," she says. "And trying is what keeps us alive." The child climbs into Mary's lap for warmth. Passers-by begin to fill the streets now. Men on their way to work glance at your group, then look away. A woman with a parasol pulls her skirt aside, as if poverty were something she could catch. The world moves, but it does not move for you. This is how a day on the steps begins. Soon, decisions must be made. Who will search for bread or scraps? Who will stay and guard the spot from other desperate souls? Who will watch the child if Sarah does not return on time from her shift? Every choice matters. Every minute is a risk. If you leave, you may find food. But if you leave, you may lose your spot, your community, your only shelter. You look again at the workhouse door. You think about going inside. You imagine a bowl of thin soup and a hard bed. But you also remember the price. Families separated. Long hours of painful labor. Rules that strip away dignity. And suddenly the cold steps feel less like misery and more like the last piece of freedom you still own. Mary touches your shoulder. Her voice is tired but steady. "We will manage today," she whispers. "We always do." You nod, and you believe her. Not because life on the steps is easy, but because giving up is not an option. The day has only just begun, and already you are exhausted. But you will endure it 1 hour at a time. That is the crawler's way. The weak tea is gone. The morning chill remains. Your stomach twists again, reminding you that warmth is not the same as nourishment. Mary pulls the child closer, trying to shield her from the wind that slips through every gap in the street. Elizabeth leans her head, back against the workhouse door, eyes closed, saving her strength. No one wants to speak of hunger, but everyone feels it. It hangs in the air like a fog. A pair of young men stroll down the street, dressed in fine coats and polished shoes. They notice your group. One of them smirks. He nudges the other and points, whispering something you cannot hear. They laugh. The laughter feels sharp like a blade. You look down, focusing on the stones beneath your feet. It is easier not to meet their eyes. But the men slow their steps. They stop in front of the group, blocking the light. Well, one of them says, "Look at this." The other tilts his head, as though examining animals at market stall. Mary says nothing. Elizabeth stares at the ground. You feel the child's small fingers tighten around your sleeve. The men wait, expecting a reaction, a plea, a show of desperation. When none comes, they lose interest. "Not even worth the coin," one mutters. They walk away, laughing as if they have told the world's finest joke. Silence returns to the steps. But this silence feels heavier than before. Not because of what was said, but because it happens every day. To be poor is to be judged. To be a crawler is to be dismissed. And to be dismissed repeatedly is to slowly disappear. The child begins to cough again. A deep, rattling cough that makes Mary close her eyes in fear. Illness spreads quickly on the streets. There is no doctor. There is no medicine. There is only hope that the cough will pass on its own. A sudden gust of wind forces you to pull your thin coat tighter. Rain threatens again, dark clouds forming above the crowded rooftops. You think of searching for food, but the risk is high. If you leave and someone else claims your spot, you may never get it back. And a spot, especially one with a small bit of shelter, is worth more than bread. Elizabeth finally opens her eyes. "I will go," she says. Her voice is calm, but her body trembles as she stands. "I will look near the market." Mary shakes her head. "You are too weak today." Elizabeth manages a tired smile. "We are all weak," she replies. Before she can take a step, a familiar voice calls from across the street. It is the beggar who sometimes brings scraps of news and, on rare days, scraps of food. He hurries toward the group, lifting a cloth bundle. "Leftovers," he says, breathing hard. "From the bakery. They threw these out." Mary opens the bundle with trembling hands. Inside are pieces of stale bread, hard as stone but still edible. The smell, faint as it is, fills your body with longing. You divide the bread carefully. The child eats first, nibbling slowly at her portion. Mary follows. Then Elizabeth. Then you. The bread is dry, sharp at the edges, but you chew it gratefully. It stops the pain in your stomach, even if only for a short while. Storm coming, the beggar warns. Heavy rain by afternoon. A quiet sigh moves through the group. Rain means shaking. Rain means sickness. Rain means another long, sleepless night. The beggar moves on, headed to his usual corner before someone else claims it. Your group falls into silence once more. Minutes pass. Then an hour. The city grows louder as the day unfolds. Workers rush. Carriages roll. Shops open their doors. Life continues, but not for you. Suddenly, the child tries to stand. She wobbles, dizzy from hunger and cold. You reach out quickly to steady her. Her face is pale, her eyes too large for her thin cheeks. She is only a small child, yet she already knows the rules of the street. Stay quiet. Stay close. Do not cry. Mary presses her forehead against the child's hair. It will be better soon, she whispers. You want to believe her. But belief is a luxury, just like warmth, just like food. The workhouse door creaks behind you, as if mocking the group. One choice always looms. Enter the workhouse and surrender your freedom, or stay outside and fight the cold. For now, the door remains shut, and none of you are ready to push it open. The sky darkens. A cold drop of water lands on your cheek. Then another. Then 10 more. Rain begins to fall, slow at first, then steadily heavier. You and the others huddle together, shoulders touching, sharing whatever warmth your bodies can offer. The child leans into you again, shaking. Another day on the steps has begun its long descent into misery. The morning offered a sip of tea and scraps of bread. The afternoon will offer rain, cold, and uncertainty. Yet none of you move. There is nowhere else to go. So you sit. You endure. You survive. And you wait for the sun to return. If it returns at all. The rain does not stop. It falls in a steady curtain, cold and merciless. Within minutes, your clothes cling to your skin, heavy with water. The workhouse doorstep, once merely uncomfortable, now feels like a trap of stone and ice. Mary wraps her arms around the child, shielding her as best she can. Elizabeth's shoulders shake, not from fear, but from the chill settling deep into her bones. The little girl presses her face into Mary's chest, coughing harder than before. Each cough sounds wetter, rougher, more dangerous. You lift the edge of your coat, trying to block some of the rain from the child's head. It helps almost nothing, but doing nothing would feel worse. The street begins to empty as umbrellas bloom through the storm. Shoes splash by. Wheels roll past. No one stops. One carriage slows just for a moment. A wealthy woman inside raises her lace-gloved hand to cover her nose. Her eyes widen, not in sympathy but in disgust. The carriage speeds away. You feel shame that should not belong to you, yet it settles on you like more rain. A constable approaches, his boots splashing through puddles. You recognize him, but today his expression is different. He does not look tired or neutral. He looks annoyed. Up, he says sharply. Clear the steps. There is an inspection today. Move along. Mary clutches the child tighter. We have nowhere to go, she says. The constable sighs, as if your suffering were an inconvenience. Not my problem, he mutters. Orders are orders. Off with you now. Elizabeth tries to stand, but her knees nearly buckle. You reach to steady her. We only need shelter from a storm, you say. The constable looks away, unwilling to meet your eyes. You can shelter somewhere else, he insists. But you won't do it here. The rain hammers down harder, as though the sky itself were punishing the earth. The child begins to cry quietly at first, then louder as fear takes hold. Her sobs echo against the stone walls of the workhouse. Mary presses her lips to the child's hair, whispering words of comfort she barely believes herself. This is not right, Elizabeth whispers. Her voice trembles with a mix of anger and exhaustion. But the constable is unmoved. He gestures again, impatient. Move. Now. Slowly, painfully, your small group gathers what little you own. A broken teapot, 2 torn blankets, a scrap of stale bread, and another. That is all. You step into the street. Water runs over your feet, soaking straight through your torn shoes. The cold pierces up through your ankles. The group shuffles forward, hunched and silent, like ghosts forced from a graveyard. You walk without destination. There is no safe place, only places where you have not yet been chased away. Rain blurs the edges of London's streets until buildings and people fade into smeared shapes. You guide Elizabeth with your arm. Mary follows, behind, holding the child close. At last, you find a narrow alley beside a shuttered shop. There is a slim overhang barely enough to shield a cat from the rain. But it is something. You gather beneath it, pressed tightly together. Still shaking, still soaked, still trying to endure. The child coughs again, long, violent, painful coughs that make her entire body convulse. Fear passes from face to face without a word. Illness can end a life quickly in a world without medicine. Mary looks at you, eyes wide with dread. She needs warmth, she says. She needs rest. You nod, but nodding changes nothing. No bed appears. No doctor arrives. The alley remains an alley. Minutes pass. Then an hour. Your clothes do not dry. Your fingers sting with cold, then go numb. Your lips turn pale. You begin to shiver so hard your teeth chatter. Footsteps approach. This time not a constable, not a passerby. It is the familiar beggar from earlier. He stands at the mouth of the alley, blinking at the sight of you, all huddled together. They threw you off the steps, did not they? He asks. No one needs to answer. He already knows. Come, he says. There is a cart tunnel near the market, dry enough to breathe in. I will show you. You follow him through the rain, past the butcher's shop, past the shuttered stalls, past the coffee house with its warm windows and unreachable comfort. The tunnel is dark, but dry. You step inside with relief so sharp it almost hurts. The group settles again, exhausted. Rain continues outside, but at least you are no longer beneath it. The child lies in Mary's lap, breathing shallowly. Elizabeth leans against the wall, her eyes half closed. The beggar crouches nearby, wringing water from his sleeves. After a moment, he speaks again. There is talk, he says. They are hiring for the hop fields. Wagons leave in 3 weeks. Good pay for strong hands. The words sit in the air like a spark. Small, faint, but visible. Hope it feels foreign on your tongue, yet you cannot ignore it. Mary looks up first. With work. We could save a little, she whispers. Elizabeth opens her eyes. It won't fix everything, she warns. But it could change something. You meet their eyes. For first time today, the group shares a single thought. Maybe. The rain continues to fall outside the tunnel. But inside something shifts. Not warmth. Not food. Not safety. Just possibility. And sometimes possibility is the first step out of the dark. The tunnel is dark, but it is dry, and for now that is enough. Outside, the storm beats against the city, washing the streets clean, but washing you further into the cracks of London's underbelly. Mary rocks the child in her arms, whispering the same soft words again and again, though the girl is too weak to reply. Her tiny body burns with fever, even as the rest of you shiver from the cold. Elizabeth sits close, placing a trembling hand on the child's back. She needs broth, Elizabeth murmurs. She needs warmth. There is no broth. There is no blanket thick enough to fight the chill. There is only the tunnel, the rain, and the weak candle of hope that refuses to die. The beggar, still crouched near the entrance, clears his throat. I meant it, he says quietly. The hop fields can change things. No one answers at first. Hope can be dangerous. Hope can lift you only to drop you twice as far. But finally Mary looks up. If there is work, she whispers, I will go. Her voice shakes, not from fear for herself, but for the child whose breaths grow shallower with each passing hour. Elizabeth nods, slowly, painfully. We cannot live on scraps forever. You feel the truth of her words settle inside you like a stone. The beggar continues. Wagons leave from the Bull and Crown. They take anyone who can stand on 2 feet. The pay is small but steady. He hesitates, then adds. Some come back with enough to rent a room. Enough to start again. A room. A door that keeps out the wind. Walls that hold in warmth. It sounds like a fantasy. Yet it is more real than anything you have had in months. The child coughs again, sharp, sudden, tearing through the moment. Mary bends over her, desperate, frightened. She cannot stay like this, Mary says, voice trembling. We must find help by morning. Elizabeth meets your eyes. Her voice drops to a whisper. If she worsens, the lady visitors will come. You know who she means. The charitable women who walk the streets offering bread, blankets, and salvation wrapped in polite smiles. Women who believe they are rescuing children from misery. Women who believe removing a sick child from her mother is an act of mercy. Their power is quiet but final. Once they take a child, that child rarely returns. We cannot let them take her, Mary breathes. Tears fill her eyes, though she forces her voice to stay steady. She is all I have left. The tunnel is silent again. Only the rain speaks. In that silence, a decision forms, not spoken, but shared. You will keep the child safe. Whatever that means. Whatever it costs. Time passes. Slowly. Painfully. When the rain finally weakens, the sky outside turns from black to gray. Morning again. Another day to endure. You step out first to scout the street. The storm has left puddles shining like mirrors on the cobblestones. Smoke rises from chimneys. Doorsteps are swept clean. And London continues, as though nothing in the world is wrong. When the others emerge, Mary carries the child beneath her coat. Elizabeth leans on your arm. Together, you return to the only place you know, the workhouse steps at street. Giles. You do not know if the constable will chase you away again. But at least the overhang offers a few inches of shelter, and a few inches can mean survival. To your surprise, the steps are empty. No one has taken your place. You settle in quickly, like soldiers reclaiming a broken fort. The child lies across Mary's lap. Her breathing is faint but steady for now. Minutes later, footsteps echo down the street. Not one pair, several. You look up. 3 women in clean dresses and bonnets approach, carrying baskets and ledgers. The Charitable Association. Your heart tightens. They stop at the foot of the steps. One of them, tall and stern, looks over your group with practiced pity. Then her gaze falls on the child. Her frown deepens. This little one is ill, she says. Her voice is soft, but her eyes are sharp. She cannot remain on the streets. This is no place for a child. Mary holds the girl closer, her body tense as a drawn bow. She is my daughter, Mary replies, and I will care for her. The woman shakes her head, slow and sad. A mother's love does not provide shelter. We can take her to a clean home with proper supervision. Her words are gentle, but they cut like a knife. Elizabeth tries to intervene. We will manage, she says. She only needs rest. No one will care for her better than her own mother. The woman closes her ledger. I will return this afternoon, she says, to see whether conditions have improved. If not, we will have to make arrangements. Arrangements. A polite word for removal, for separation, for loss. When the women leave, Mary shakes with silent fear. She will not take my child, she whispers. No matter what they say, no matter what they threaten, I will not lose her. You place a hand on her shoulder. We won't let that happen, you say. Your voice is steady. Your chest is not. Elizabeth looks toward the street. We must make a plan, she says. By tonight. And there it is again. That tiny flickering flame. Hope, fragile yet alive. This time, it is not just about finding food. Not just about finding warmth. It is about saving a life. If the wagons to the hop fields are truly leaving in 3 weeks, then everything must change before then. The child must recover. The group must endure. And somehow, some way, you must get the deposit needed to board that wagon. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Now. Because the city has made something painfully clear. If you do nothing, London will take everything. But if you fight, if you hold on, maybe, just maybe, there is still a path out of the dark. The sky turns pale as the morning mist slips through street. Giles, and with it comes urgency. The child's breathing grows shallow. Her face is hot, her lips dry, and her small body trembles beneath the thin coat Mary uses as a blanket. Elizabeth presses the back of her hand to the girl's cheek. She won't last like this, she mutters. Her voice, usually steady as stone, carries fear. London awakens around you. Carriages rattle across the cobblestones. Workers hurry toward factories and shops. Children in clean clothes clutch schoolbooks and disappear into morning fog. For them, the day has purpose. For you, the day has a deadline. Mary looks at you and at James. We have until afternoon, she whispers. They will come back for her. And if they see her like this, she cannot finish. Elizabeth takes charge. You, she says, pointing at James, to Covent Garden. Fine broth, crusts, anything warm. She turns to you. And you find work. Coins. A deposit. Something for the hop wagons or food or medicine. Anything that buys us time. Then her eyes move to Mary. And you keep the girl alive until we return. There is no argument. No one wastes words. Time is too thin for debate. You hurry into the streets. London's heart is already pounding, vendors shouting, wheels grinding, horses snorting, chimney smoke rising like dark prayers. You scan for signs that say help wanted. Most doors shut at the sight of your rags. Shopkeepers look away. Others wave you off before you open your mouth. At a bakery, you try anyway. Work, please. Anything. The baker does not even pause. No loitering. Move along. At a workshop, you ask again. Can you use an extra pair of hands? I will sweep, carry, clean. The man glances up. His gaze rests on your torn shoes, your frayed sleeves, your hollow cheeks. No, he says flatly. Customers do not like being reminded of misery. You step back. The door closes. The lock clicks. The city moves on without you. But you keep going. Street to street. Corner to corner. Work is everywhere, but not for people like you. Then, near Drury Lane, you see a cart jammed in the street. A wheel is stuck in a rut. 2 men strain to lift it, cursing. Before they shout for help, you are already there. I can push, you say. Just let me try. They do not care who you are. They just nod. You dig your feet into the mud. You push until your muscles scream. The cart jerks once, twice, then breaks free. The men cheer. One claps you on the shoulder. Good work. This is your chance. Sir, you breathe. I need wages. Even small ones. I have someone sick. I just need. But the man is already turning away. No pay, he says. Wasn't a job. You offered. They climb onto the cart. They leave. Your hands shake with anger. Not at them. At London. You keep walking. Failure is a luxury you cannot afford. Hours pass. The sun climbs. Your stomach claws at itself. Your feet blister. Then, finally, a voice calls from behind a tavern. You there, can you lift crates? You spin around. A bearded man stands by a stack of wooden boxes. Yes, you answer instantly. For a penny, he says. You nod before he finishes. You lift. You carry. You haul until your back screams and your arms shake. When the last crate is stacked, the man tosses a coin. A single penny. You snatch it from the air. To anyone else, it is nothing. To you, it is hope. Come back tomorrow, the man says. If you are still walking, you do not wait for more. You run. Back through the winding streets. Back past the markets. Back toward Street Giles. As the steps come into view, you see James already waiting. He holds a small bundle. Bread, he says. And weak broth. Best I could manage. Mary cradles the child, coaxing tiny sips to her lips. The girl swallows. Barely. But she swallows. Elizabeth sees the coin in your hand. Her eyes widen not at its worth, but at what it represents. A beginning, she whispers. Is almost afternoon. The women will return, soon. And you are out of time. Elizabeth leans in. We cannot still be here when they come back, she says. They will see the sickness. They will take her. We must move before they arrive. James nods. My brother once slept behind the tannery by the river. There's a stable wall that blocks the wind. Not much, but better than this. Mary looks down at her child. She nods without hesitation. If it keeps her with me, I will go anywhere. Elizabeth turns to you. Then gather what we have. We move now, before they turn the corner. And so, for the second time in 2 days, you prepare to abandon your only shelter. Not because you are forced by weather or constables, but because this time, running is the only way to fight back. No matter where you go next, one truth is clear. The streets will not save you. The workhouse will not save you. The charities will not save you. If you are going to survive, you will have to save yourselves. You leave the workhouse steps before the women return, moving quickly through the narrow lanes of Street Giles. Mary wraps the child tightly against her chest. The girl's breath rattles, soft and uneven. Every exhale sounds like a countdown. James leads, cutting through back alleys slick with mud and filth. Elizabeth follows close behind, leaning on your arm, but refusing to slow down. No one speaks. Words would steal breath, and right now every breath must be saved for walking. The tannery district hits your nose before it hits your eyes. The air grows sour, thick with the stench of rot, lime, and chemical wash. Here, James says, pointing to a crumbling stone wall behind a stable. He was right. The wall blocks the wind, and the overhang above keeps off the worst of the weather. For the homeless of London, that makes it luxury. Mary sinks to the ground, cradling her daughter. Elizabeth lowers herself beside her, wincing as her knees crack. You and James gather scraps. Discarded straw, torn cloth, anything to soften the cold earth beneath them. Minutes pass. The child stirs, then coughs again, a sharp, tearing sound. Mary presses her lips to the girl's hair. She must hold on, she whispers. We are so close. Hope is a fragile thing in a place like this. It feels thin as the child's breath, but is all you have. To buy time, someone must watch the street. You volunteer. James nods and keeps guard from the other direction. London moves on around you. Children run past with laughter. Horse carts clatter by. Shop bells ring. Life continues, oblivious to the quiet disaster unfolding behind the stable wall. After a while, footsteps approach. Not many, just one person. A man. Tall. Coat faded, but not cheap. He slows as he nears your hiding place. His eyes sweep across your group. Not with disgust, but with recognition. You are on the steps, the man says. His voice is calm. Measured. Not cruel. Not pitying. Mary stiffens. If you are from the association, she begins. I am not, he interrupts. No ledger. No sermons. I remember faces. I pass that way most mornings. He looks at the child. Then at Mary. Then at each of you. Slow. Careful. Thinking. Finally, he says the girl needs help. Mary holds the child closer. "She is my daughter," she says, "and she will stay with me." The man raises a hand. "I do not want to take her." But fever spreads. Sickness spreads. If she dies on the street, they will take the next child they find. And the next. The truth of it hangs in the air. Hard and heavy. "What you want?" Elizabeth asks. "Nothing," the man replies. "And I expect nothing. But I can offer something." He reaches into his coat and pulls out a small parcel. Broth. Clean cloth. A little salve. Then, after a pause, and an address, he writes on a scrap of paper. "A woman I know runs a laundry house near Holborn. She hires quiet workers. Pays small but honest." James narrows his eyes. "Why help us?" The man meets his gaze. "Because someone once helped me, and because this city does not need to be cruel to run." He sets the parcel down and steps back. "One more thing," he says to you. "The association is searching. They have your faces now. They will return to street, Giles, and if they cannot find you, they will search nearby parishes. You must move again before nightfall." Then he leaves. No lecture. No conditions. Just a warning, a parcel, and an address. Mary unfolds the bundle. Steam rises. The smell of broth fills the shadows. She dips a cloth, cools it, presses it to her daughter's forehead. Then she coaxes a small spoonful past the child's lips. The girl swallows. Not much, but enough. Elizabeth exhales shakily. "That bought us time," she whispers. "And time is everything." James studies the paper. "Holborn is not far," he says. "But if we move now, with her this week." He does not finish the sentence. You look toward the street. Your mind calculates. Streets, parishes, patrols, risk, distance, weather, and fate. We wait until dusk, you decide. People on the move look like workers then. No one questions shadows in the evening. They agree, because there is no better plan. Hours pass. Slow. Nervous. But the child's breathing eases. Just slightly. Enough to kindle hope again. When dusk arrives, London softens. Smoke thickens. Street lamps glow. Shadows stretch long. You gather what little you have. Mary lifts her daughter. Elizabeth braces herself. James checks the alley once more. No association, he whispers. No constables. It is now. You step out. You walk. Past taverns. Past factories. Past windows filled with golden light. Worlds forever just out of reach. For the first time in days, no one tries to stop you. No one shouts. No one sneers. You are invisible again. And for once, invisibility is a blessing. Holborn is close. Hope is closer. And for the first time, survival is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a possible escape. Holborn greets you with narrow lanes, flickering lamps, and the late evening hum of a city that never truly rests. By the time you reach the laundry house, your feet are numb, your breath thin, and Mary is barely standing beneath the weight of her child. The girl sleeps against her shoulder, her fever soft breaths quieter now, but frighteningly shallow. The laundry house stands at the end of a side street, warm yellow lights spilling from the windows onto the cobblestones. Not rich, not grand, but clean. And after so many nights outside, clean looks almost holy. James knocks. 3 times. Firm, but not desperate. For a long moment, there is no answer. Then a pair of locks slide open, and the door cracks just enough for one eye to peer out. "State your business," a woman's voice demands, sharp, cautious, but not unkind. James holds up the scrap of paper. "He sent us. The man from Drury Lane." The door opens wider. A woman in her 50s stands before you, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up, the scent of soap, and like clinging to her clothes. Her eyes go first to Mary, then to the child. She steps aside without another question. Inside, and quickly, you enter a narrow hallway that opens into a steaming workroom. Lines of damp clothing, tubs of water, the hiss of boiled rinse, the steady rhythm of brushes and labor. Four women scrub at linens, pausing to glance at you with a mix of curiosity and sympathy. But no contempt. Mary sinks into the nearest bench, clutching her daughter. Elizabeth follows and lowers herself slowly, trying not to groan. You feel warmth on your skin for the first time in days. The laundry mistress introduces herself. "My name is Mrs. Burnell," she says. "I do not take in drunks, thieves, or trouble. If I help you, you must help me." "Agreed." "You answer for all of you." "Agreed." She kneels beside the child and presses a cool hand to her forehead. "She needs broth, sleep, and shelter, Mrs. Burnell says. No child survives long in the streets." Mary's voice cracks. "We are trying. Truly we are." The woman studies her for a moment, long enough to see sincerity, but also exhaustion, fear, and love. Then she rises. There is space in the wash loft. Not soft beds, but a roof and blankets. You can stay 2 nights. After that, you work or you move along. 2 nights. To most Londoners, it would sound like nothing. To you, it is mercy. A miracle, even. Mrs. Burnell points to a side table. Food first. The broth is cheap, but is hot. Mary lifts a spoon to her daughter's mouth. The child swallows. A small swallow. But it brings tears to everyone's eyes. Tonight, at least, she is safe. Warm. Fed. James eats quietly. Elizabeth closes her eyes, savoring every sip like a prayer. You watch the room, and for the first time in days, your heart loosens in your chest. This is what relief feels like. Not joy, not victory, just the absence of fear, if only for a moment. When the workroom grows quieter, Mrs. Burnell returns. "There is something else," she says, folding her arms. "Earlier today, a woman came asking questions. A charitable lady. Your blood chills. They are searching the parishes, you whisper. They saw the child. They mean to take her." Mrs. Burnell nods. She spoke like someone who expects to be obeyed. "She will return. And she won't come alone next time." Silence falls hard between you. 2 nights of shelter. But danger still inches closer. James breaks the silence. "We will be gone before she returns. Just let us work for our keep while we are here." Mrs. Burnell studies him, then looks at you. "And you, can you scrub, carry, mend, or stand on your feet for hours?" You nod. "Whatever work there is, we will do it." She gestures toward the tubs. "Then you start at dawn. It is a bargain. Labor for safety. Sweat for time. A fair trade, perhaps the fairest you have been offered months." Night comes. The others settle on thin mattresses in the loft, tired, aching, but sheltered. Mary sleeps sitting up, the child across her lap, her cheek resting on her daughter's hair. Elizabeth sleeps beside them, her hand resting gently on the girl's leg, as if guarding her through dreams. James stretches out on the boards and closes his eyes almost instantly. But you remain awake, listening, thinking. Below, the workroom is still. Outside, Holborn streets murmur with distant wheels and boots and muffled voices. You should sleep. You need sleep. But something nags at you. So you rise and step to the window, watching rain ripple through the lamplight. Then, movement. A silhouette across the street. Not a drunk. Not a passerby. Someone standing still, watching the laundry house. You freeze. Your pulse hammers. The figure does not move closer. Doesn't leave. Just stands. After a full minute, the watcher turns and disappears into the fog. You remain at the window long after the shadow is gone. Because now there is no doubt. Someone has followed you from street. Giles. And shelter has bought you safety for one night. But it has also painted target. Sooner or later, the past will find you. To stay alive, you must move faster than the forces closing in. The hop wagons are not just hope anymore. They are the only road out. Tomorrow, you must work. You must earn. And then you must run. Before London takes the child. Before London takes you all. Dawn creeps into the laundry loft before the sun fully rises. You wake to the sound of scraping, rinsing, and distant wheels on cobblestone. Mary is already awake, holding her daughter close, checking her breathing again and again with trembling hands. The girl is still fevered but calmer. Her cheeks have regained a hint of color, not much, but enough to keep hope alive. Elizabeth sits beside them, whispering morning prayers under her breath, not out of piety, but out of desperation. James stretches, hands stiff from sleeping on wooden planks instead of stone. It feels almost soft, he mutters. A strange joke, but everyone appreciates the attempt. You head downstairs. The workroom is already hot and humid, steam rising from basins as Mrs. Burnell directs her small crew like a ship captain in heavy weather. She hands you a brush and nods toward a stain sheet. You scrub until your arms give out, she says. Then you switch arms. Work begins. Endless scrubbing. Boiling. Rinsing. Twisting. Lifting. Your back screams. Your hands blister. Soap burns your skin raw. But you work. Because work means time. And time means survival. Across the room, James carries heavy pails for hours without complaint. Elizabeth folds and mends, her fingers slow, but steady as habit. Mary cannot work with the feverish child and Mrs. Burnell, surprisingly, does not press her. Instead, she directs Mary to sit by the stove, keeping the broth warm and the child breathing. By midday, your arms feel like wet rope barely connected to your body. You wipe sweat from your brow and glance outside through the warped window glass. Then your breath stops. Across the street, the watcher has returned. Same stillness, same distance, same posture of silent observation. You move closer to the glass. Mrs. Burnell notices. Without looking up, she murmurs, "Someone bothering you." You hesitate, then nod. The same man as last night. Across the street. She does not gasp. She does not panic. She just says calm and low, "In this city, the ones who watch quietly are worse than the ones who yell." The watcher disappears again into the crowd. But the chill he leaves behind stays in your bones. The door swings open a few minutes later. A young errand boy stands there panting, holding his cap in both hands. "Message," he says, "for the folks who were at street." Giles. Your stomach tightens. Every muscle goes still. "Say it," James demands. The boy swallows. They cleared the steps again. Workhouse constables and the charity ladies. They asked after a woman with a child. Mary clutches her daughter tighter. Elizabeth closes her eyes. James curses, under his breath. "And that ain't all," the boy adds. One of the crawlers who did not leave fast enough, they dragged him to the ward. Said he was unfit for the streets. You know what that means. Once someone is labeled unfit, they vanish into the system. Hospitals, workhouses, asylums, places you do not return from. "Why come tell us?" you ask. The boy shifts uncomfortably. "Someone paid me, but not to spy, just to warn you. Said you would be in danger by nightfall if you stayed in Holborn." The words hit like cold water. "Who paid you?" James presses. The boy shakes his head. "Told me not to say. Just said you would know the meaning." Then he runs before anyone can stop him. Mrs. Burnell exhales through her nose. "So," she says, "you have brought more than hunger and rags to my door. You want to apologize." She raises a hand. "Don't. I chose to open the door. But you cannot stay past tonight. This house cannot stand against constables and committees." Mary looks up with wide, terrified eyes. "Please," she whispers. "My daughter, where can we go?" "Mrs." Burnell softens, but only slightly. "You will go where the city cannot follow. Out. Away. To those hop fields you spoke of. If there is even a chance, you must take it, and soon." Elizabeth nods weakly. "We can be ready. Maybe 2 days. Just 2. "Mrs." Burnell shakes her head. "You do not have 2 days." The room falls silent again. No one wants to ask the next question. "So you do. We leave tonight, then?" "Tonight," she confirms. "The longer you stay in one place, the easier you are to catch." And someone, either the charity ladies or the law, is already narrowing in. The realization settles, heavy and final. This shelter was never meant to be a destination. Only a breath. A pause. A single heartbeat of safety before the city resumes its hunt. James bends to tie his boots. Elizabeth gathers her mending. Mary rocks her child, whispering to her, as though she can promise a safer world through sheer will. You return to the wash basin and finish the day's work. Not because it changes your fate, but because dignity must be chosen, even when survival is screaming. When dusk arrives, your arms are dead, your legs shaking, and every part of you aches. But your mind is clear. Tonight you move, and you do not stop until the city loses your scent. "Mrs." Burnell hands you a small parcel as you prepare to leave. Bread, cloth, and a tiny jar of salve. "Not charity," she says. "Payment for the labor you gave. Is the kindest lie a working woman can offer the destitute." You bow your head. Then you step into the night. The street is darker than before. Quieter, like it is holding its breath. You walk. Mary in the center. Elizabeth beside her. James ahead. You watching the rear. Every shadow could be the watcher. Every corner could hold danger. You leave Holborn behind. Not because you are ready, but because the city has left you no choice. Ahead waits the road, the wagons, the fields, and maybe a life where you are no longer prey. Night in London is not silent. It breathes. It stalks. It watches. You lead the group through the back lanes of Holborn, away from lantern-lit streets and toward the places respectable Londoners pretend do not exist. Mary walks in the center, shielding her child with her coat. Elizabeth leans on James, her breath sharp with each step. The moon is weak behind the fog. Shadows stretch long and thin across the cobblestones. Some shadows move when you move. Some do not. Those are the ones that worry you. No one speaks. Words are dangerous at night. Footsteps echo. Yours. James. Elizabeth's. Mary's. One more. Behind. You. You glance back. There. At the corner, half hidden by lamplight. A figure. The same stillness. The same posture. The watcher. You grip James' arm. He follows your gaze. His jaw tightens. "We do not stop," he whispers. "We do not look back again." So you press forward, deeper into the maze of streets where the city swallows sound. Past shuttered shops. Past piles of refuse. Past sleeping bodies huddled in doorways like discarded coats. The child stirs in Mary's arms, coughing weakly. Mary whispers to her, voice cracking. "Just a little further, my love. Please. Your destination is not the open road yet. Not the hop wagons waiting miles away. First is a hidden refuge. A place only the desperate know. The slope," James says, guiding you. "The old coal ramp off Whitecross. No constables. No patrol. We hide there till dawn, then move again. But the slope is across the city. Through alleys you have never walked. Through dangers you have not met. And the watcher follows. Step after step, corner after corner, his distance never closes. But never grows either. He is patient. Patient like a hunter. Rain begins to fall again, thin and cold, like needles against your skin. London glistens, slick and deadly. Elizabeth stumbles. You catch her before she falls. I am all right, she lies. She is not. The feverish child whimpers. Mary presses her lips to the girl's forehead. She is burning again, she whispers. Panic trembles in her voice. You cannot stop. You cannot slow down. So you run. For the first time that night, you run. Down a narrow lane that smells of ash and sewage. Across a silent market square where overturned crates cast jagged shadows. Through a broken archway into darker streets. Behind you, another set of footsteps joins the watchers. Then another. Not just one. Not anymore. The city is closing in. Not with sirens or shouts, but with footsteps. Soft. Multiplying. James swears under his breath. They are circling us. Why, Elizabeth gasps. We have nothing worth taking. But you understand. They are not here for coin, or food, or rags. They are here for the child. Because the city has decided that children do not belong to mothers on the street. Mary clutches her daughter and shakes her head, as if denying fate itself. No, she whispers. No. She stays with me. You spot an iron gate ahead, half open. A courtyard beyond it. Through there you shout. The group slips inside. James and you slam the gate behind you. It buys seconds. Not minutes. Seconds. In the dark courtyard, you search for an exit. One door. Locked. Another. Boarded shut. No alley. No open passage. A dead end. Elizabeth sags against the wall. Her breath rattles. James looks up. A low roof, close enough to reach if someone lifts you. We climb, he says. You crouch, interlock your fingers, and boost him up. He grunts, pulls himself to the roof edge. Then reaches down. Mary first, you whisper. Mary hesitates. The child hangs limp against her chest. There is no time for doubts. James hauls them up. Elizabeth next. You push her until your arms shake and she disappears over the ledge. The gate bursts open below. Footsteps spill into the courtyard. Slow. Measured. They know you are trapped. James leans down. Your turn. You jump, grab his wrist. He strains. You kick at the wall, pulling, climbing, clawing your way up. Just as a hand below reaches for your ankle. Your boot slips from its grasp. You roll onto the rooftop. Rain on slate. Breathing like a hunted animal. Below, the watchers look up. One lifts a lantern. Light slices the darkness. Their faces are not cruel. They are worse. Expressionless. Official. Determined. Not thieves. Not drunks. Not street predators. These are city men. Sent with quiet authority. Sent to seize children for their own good. They say nothing. They do not curse or threaten. They simply move on. Because they know you will need to come down eventually. They will. Wait. They will search again at dawn. James grips your shoulder. We move across the roofs. Now. So you flee over London's spine. Chimneys, tiles, gutters, and drops that could kill with one misstep. Elizabeth crawls. Mary cradles the child with both arms, teeth clenched against fear. At last, you reach a slope leading back down to a quieter street. You descend one by one. When your feet touch the ground again, the sky to the east is paling. Dawn approaches. The night has been survived, but at a cost. Elizabeth collapses to one knee. Her face is gray, her strength spent. We cannot run like this again, she whispers. She is right. You are all exhausted, hunted, and out of time. But then, in the distance, across the waking street, you see it. The sign, hanging above an old coaching yard. The Bull and Crown wagons at dawn. James follows your gaze. His eyes widen. We made it, he breathes. Mary looks down at her child. The girl is still alive, warm in her arms, still fighting. For the first time all night, Mary allows herself to cry. Not from fear, but from something else. Something fragile. Something new. Hope. The sun rises. London brightens. And ahead, for the first time, is a road that leads out. The Bull and Crown Yard smells of mud, hay, and morning frost. Stable boys shout. Horses stamp and snort against their reins. The sky is still gray, but the road beyond the gates glows faintly with the first trace of sunrise. A line has already formed. Men, women, whole families clutching bundles of rags and hope. Every face carries the same expression, exhaustion mixed with desperation. James speaks first. We queue. No arguments. No noise. No panic. Mary nods, holding her daughter close, her lips against the girl's hair. Elizabeth steadies herself, leaning on you for support. You all take your place at the end of the line. Near the front stands a man with a ledger and a quill. The wagon master. Beside him, a wooden box with a slot for coins. Every person who reaches the front hands over 1 shilling. No shilling, no name. No name, no wagon. The rule is simple, brutal, unbending. You feel your single penny in your pocket. So small it may as well be nothing. James reaches into his coat and reveals a folded handkerchief. Inside 5 shillings. Not enough for everyone. Not yet. How many of us? James asks quietly. You look at Mary. At the child. At Elizabeth. At James. At yourself. 5, you answer. James shakes his head. We can't think in fives. We must think in chances. The line inches forward. 1 by 1, names are written. 1 by 1, coins fall. 1 by 1, futures are bought. Mary whispers, she must go. Whatever happens to me, she must go. Elizabeth squeezes her hand. No, we stay together. But even as she says it, her voice trembles. Because she knows the truth. The road does not care about together. The road cares about endurance. And the hop fields do not wait for the weak. The wagon master calls out next. The line shrinks. You are 20 people away. Then 15. Then 10. James leans in. I can pay for 3 spots now. If I find work in Kent, I can send coin back, or return. Mary's eyes widen in fear. Elizabeth closes hers. You feel the choice tightening like a rope around all your throats. Then, the watcher appears. At the yard gate. Hands behind his back. Expression unreadable. He does not move forward. He does not speak. He simply waits. And you understand at once. If you miss this wagon, London will reclaim you. Permanently. The line moves again. 7 left. 6. Elizabeth sways. Her breath rattles in her chest. She has not eaten properly in days. Her knees are swollen. Her steps uncertain. She knows it. You know it. Everyone knows it. Finally, she says softly, without looking at any of you. My season is over. Mary gasps. No. Don't. Elizabeth continues, voice steadier now than it has been in weeks. I cannot survive the fields. I will slow you. And the girl needs that shilling more than I ever will again. The line moves. 5 left. 4. She presses her last penny, the one she saved for tea, into your hand. For her, she whispers. For warmth. Mary is crying openly now. James looks away, jaw clenched. Even he cannot hide the crack in his armor. You bend and embrace Elizabeth. She smells of soap, broth, and rain. She whispers in your ear. Get them to the sun. Because she knows what you all know. London is a grave for people like you. The only chance is away. The ledger man calls next. James steps forward and lays down 3 shillings. Names the wagon master demands: James Carter, Mary Collins, and the child Agnes Collins. The quill scratches. The coins drop. 3 lives secure. Then the 4th shilling, from the night's wages at Holborn, buys your place. Your name is written. 1 spot remains unpaid. 1 friend remains behind. Elizabeth smiles. Not with joy, with peace. A quiet, tired peace. She touches Mary's cheek, then Agnes, then your arm. No goodbyes, she says. Just go. The wagon master snaps the ledger shut. All aboard. We depart in minutes. You help Mary climb up. James lifts the child. You climb last, turning only once. Elizabeth on the street, small, thin, unbowed. The watcher remains by the gate, but he does not follow. He does not need to. His part in your story ends here. London has claimed him. Elizabeth has chosen her ending. And you have chosen the road. The driver cracks the reins. The wagon lurches forward. The wheels roll. The city recedes. For the first time, the horizon is ahead of you, not behind you. The wind smells different. Fresher, wider, like open country instead of stone and smoke. Mary holds her daughter close. James stares forward, jaw set with determination. You grip the wagon side and refuse to look back again. Because London is no longer your world. Now there's only the road. And beyond the road, the fields, where work waits, where hunger can be ended by your own hands, where your fate is no longer written by constables, committees, or cold stone steps. The wagon carries you out of the city's grasp. And just like that, you are no longer crawlers. You are travelers. And travelers can still change their destiny. The road to Kent stretches long and uneven beneath the wagon wheels. Mud, frost, ruts deep enough to swallow a boot. But none of it feels as cruel as the stones of London. James sits near the front, watching the horizon. He has not spoken much since the yard. Survival has carved silence into him. But his eyes, always sharp, now hold purpose instead of despair. Mary sits in the center, her daughter cradled in her lap. Agnes sleeps peacefully for the first time in days. Her fever has broken. Her breathing is calm. Her tiny chest rises and falls like a gentle tide. You sit at the back, facing the shrinking outline of the city. Smokestacks fade. Church spires dissolve into the morning haze. The past disappears slowly, then all at once. Elizabeth remains behind those walls, a ghost in London's endless maze. You wonder whether she found shelter or warmth or rest. You hope she did. But you know the streets rarely grant such endings. Hours pass. Fields replace bricks. Bare winter trees line the distant hills. The air feels wider, cleaner, almost forgiving. When the wagon finally stops at midday, the driver points with his whip. There, he says, "Hop country, tent rows for workers. Follow the stewards. Do as they say. Earn your bread." The camp waits at the edge of a massive plantation. Rows of hop poles piercing the earth like a forest of thin wooden spires. Canvas tents ripple in the wind. Smoke from cook fires curls upward. Voices echo, tired, hungry, stubborn voices from every corner of England. The steward, a broad man with a ledger, calls out names. When he reaches yours, he nods without emotion. Strong enough to pick, he asks. You answer yes. James answers the same. Mary, quieter, says, "I will sew, or sort, or boil cloth. I can't leave my child in the rows." The steward studies her, then shrugs. There is camp work. Pays less, but it is honest. Child stays with you. 'Cause no trouble. That is all she needs to hear. Mary bows her head in gratitude. Agnes wakes. Blinking. Curious. Alive. The tent they give you is rough. Just canvas, rope, and straw on the ground. But to you, it feels like a palace. Because it has walls. Because it is yours, even if only for a while. The first day's work begins at dawn. Hands blister. Feet ache. Backs burn beneath the low winter sun. But there is food at the end of the day. Hot food. And coin. Small coin, but earned coin. James works like a man who intends to never be hungry again. You do the same. At night, the workers gather around fires. Stories pass between strangers. Laughter. Not much, but real. Mary sits close to the flames, mending sacks and shirts. Agnes leans against her side, wrapped in a blanket, humming to herself. She looks like any child. Not a runaway. Not a target. Not a possession for the charity ladies to claim. Just a girl with her mother, safe for one more day. Weeks pass. Slowly. Steadily. Lives begin to mend in the same quiet rhythm as the fields. James saves every shilling. Mary grows stronger. Agnes plays with other children, her laughter soft, but no longer rare. And you begin to remember what it feels like to breathe without fear. One evening, as the sky burns orange over the hot poles, James sits beside you. We should send for Elizabeth, he says quietly. If she still lives. You stare into the fire. The flames twist. Crackle. Devour. We will, you answer. When we can afford to go back. James nods. Both of you know the truth. London is a grave, but it is also a tether. One day you must return. For her memory, if not her life. But not yet. Not while you are still crawling out of fate's pit. Later that night, Mary whispers, "What will we become?" You answer without hesitation. Something better than what London wanted us to be. She smiles through tired eyes. Not a wide smile. Not a youthful one. But a smile of someone who has survived what should have broken her. The season in Kent is hard. The labor is unforgiving. Rain makes the rows slick. Cold stiffens fingers. Supervisors shout. But no one owns you. No door is slammed in your face for sleeping on the wrong step. No ledger-toting stranger demands your child as payment for mercy. No constable orders you to vanish to make the streets prettier. You work. You eat. You endure. And that is freedom. The first freedom you have tasted in years. When spring finally arrives, Agnes runs through the fields, chasing sunlight with bare feet. Mary calls after her, laughing. James leans on a post, arms folded, watching with a softness you never saw in him on the streets. You look out at the horizon. Wide. Open. Possible. You are no longer a crawler. You are no longer a shadow on stone steps. You are a person again. With a name, a purpose, and a road ahead instead of a wall. London will always live inside you. The hunger. The rain. The workhouse doors. The faces you lost. The price you paid to leave. But London does not own you anymore. You earned your escape. You built your chance. You carried each other until you could stand. The world is still cruel. Life is still hard. But now, for the first time, you can choose your direction. And sometimes that is all a human being needs. And so, our journey ends far from the cold stone steps a street. Giles, what began in hunger, fear, and darkness has led us here. To open skies, working hands, and a future that, at last, belongs to those who earned it. The road was unforgiving. There were nights when hope was nothing more than a whisper. And mornings when survival itself felt uncertain. But dignity survived. Compassion endured. And courage quiet, stubborn courage carried them beyond the reach of a city that tried to forget them. Mary, Agnes, James, and the one who walked beside them are not just characters in a forgotten chapter of history. They represent thousands of real lives, people who suffered, struggled, and persevered in the shadows of an empire that celebrated progress while ignoring its own poor. If this story leaves you with anything, let it be this. Human worth is not measured by wealth, by status, or by the street someone sleeps on. Sometimes, the greatest victories in history are simply the moments when ordinary souls refuse to give up. Thank you for walking this path with me step by step, through the darkest corners of Victorian London and into the light beyond it. If this journey moved you, do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, rest well, stay curious, and remember, even the smallest stories can carry the greatest truths. Good night, and see you in the next chapter.